Herzlich willkommen auch von meiner Seite zur Nachmittagssessions des Hiscox Day 2024. Mein Name ist Daniela Zierold und ich heiße Sie wirklich von Herzen willkommen. Wir sind ein paar Minuten zu spät live gegangen, das tut mir wahnsinnig leid, aber ich verspreche Ihnen zwei Dinge. Erstens, Sie haben noch nichts verpasst. Und zweitens, das Warten hat sich gelohnt, denn wir haben heute unseren Gruppen-CEO Aki Hussain im Interview. Jetzt wechsle ich auf Englisch, weil Aki hat mir gerade gesagt, Deutsch spricht er nicht so gut und freue mich aufs Interview. Aki, hi.
Hi, Daniela.
Thank you so much for joining us at Hiscox Day 2024. We're thrilled to have you.
Not at all, and I'm delighted to be here. I understand this is a flagship broker event that we hold once a year, so I'm very pleased to be invited. Thank you.
Thank you. Aki, some of our viewers, they might not know you yet. Would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, of course. As you heard from Daniela, my name's Aki Hussain, and I'm the Group CEO of Hiscox. I've been the CEO for just over 2 years. I actually joined Hiscox about 8 years ago, initially as the CFO. So I was CFO for 6 years, and then the last 2 years I took over from my predecessor, Branche, who was with the business for well over 25 years. And prior to that, I worked in life insurance, in banking, and in the technology sector as well. But I can absolutely say this is the best job I've had in my whole career. It's a real privilege rather, to lead the Hiscox business across the globe.
I can see why. I've been with Hiscox for 15 years and I don't regret a single day, so I'm
glad to hear it.
Yeah, so Aki, we care deeply about our brokers in our regions, and can you give us your perspective on why brokers have been so important to Hiscox and why they will remain so important to us?
Of course. The way I describe our relationship with brokers is it's a symbiotic relationship, right? So we thrive and survive as long as you thrive and survive. The vast majority of the business that we write around the world, and indeed in Germany, is produced by our brokers. These are incredibly important relationships to us. You are incredibly important to the Hiscox group, to Hiscox Germany, and the way I see it is that we will thrive together. Part of our job is to learn from you and understand from you what are the customer trends, what do the end customers want, how are their risks changing, and therefore how can we build new products, or adapt our existing products. And at the same time, one of our ambitions remains to be, I guess in the UK we simply term it as being easy to do business with, and that is a key focus of our strategy, is to ensure that the way you interact with Hiscox is easy, is convenient, we're accessible, and we're responsive to your needs.
Okay. Let's move to a macro view a little bit of the broker market itself. So we've seen quite some movement in terms of broker consolidation in Germany recently. And I know that the UK has gone through the same, or has gone through this development too. Could you please elaborate what has happened in the UK in the past decade, and what learnings the market has taken, and maybe what we might be expecting in Germany, given the fact that the UK has been through this for 10 years?
Sure. And we've seen this broker consolidation trend not only in the UK, but in the US as well. And as Daniela was saying, this has been going on for over a decade. And certainly as an insurance carrier, it has been both a positive and frankly a negative in some respects as well. So the positive aspects are that the relationships with brokers become very large. So there's more business being sourced from individual brokers. That can be a positive in terms of reducing complexity. But I would say one of the downsides is the potential for innovation and competition. So when we have a multitude of brokers, the level of innovation in the market, the level of competition means customers are, I think, incredibly well, and customers incredibly well served. And it also keeps insurance companies like ours on their toes. We have to continue to develop new products for those customer needs. So that's just something to watch out for. There are both positives and negatives with any of these trends. We'll see how it develops in Germany. It may not go the same way as it has done in the UK and in the US.
Interesting. So moving away from the macro view, let's focus on Hiscox a little bit. And I wanted to ask you if you could share some insights on Hiscox strategy. So where are we headed to?
Daniel, a great question. So if I can just take a moment to maybe just set out some of the key characteristics of our group before I go into where are we headed. So our group is made up of essentially two segments. We refer to it as a big ticket segment, where we write our large, globally traded, more volatile risks. And within that segment, we have a reinsurance business, and we have a Lloyd's market, a Lloyd's of London market business. So those are what we call, they operate in a more cyclical market, where we expect the business to grow and then possibly shrink as the market conditions change. And that makes up about half the group, about $2.5 billion of premium. And then the other part of the group is what we call our retail business, and that's where we write local, less volatile risks, which is essentially the business in Germany, in continental Europe, in the UK, and in the US. And that makes up the other half of our business, again, about $2.5 billion of premium. Now, the strategies for the two sides of our business are a little bit different. For the big ticket, it is to grow when the market conditions are good, and to retrench, pull back when the market conditions begin to deteriorate. In our retail business, our ambition is to grow through the cycle. These are less volatile risks with less volatile pricing and underlying evolution of risks. And we expect to stay in the market and to be there for the very long term for our customers and indeed for our brokers. So the ambition here is to continue to grow. We have big ambitions for growth. We continue to have small market shares in the specialist markets that we operate in. And over the forthcoming period, I hope what you will see from Hiscox Germany and indeed the Hiscox Group is that we continue to support you as our brokers with the development of new products, with the implementation of technology that makes it easier for you to deal with us, and also as we slowly increase our risk appetite to write more of the specialist risks that I know you guys can produce for us.
I'd like to hear that. So financial stability is of the utmost importance to financial institutions and insurance companies. Obviously, I mean, we get this feedback when we ask end customers what is really important. It's financial stability of an insurance company. And the times that we've all been facing, the world has been challenging, obviously. So how has Hiscox been doing in this climate?
Well, financial stability, as Daniel was saying, is an incredibly important component of our overall strategy. In fact, it's what you start with. What you start with is your balance sheet, your capital position that has to be robust. And your strategy is then based on the strength of your balance sheet. And I can stand here comfortably and say our balance sheet remains exceptionally strong. We have been in the insurance game now for over 100 years. We can trace our roots back to the early part of the 20th century. So we've been at this for a long, long time. And frankly, if you look at our track record over recent years, again, it's been very good. In fact, in 2023, I'm sure many of you will have followed, every part of our business grew, but not only did every part of our business grow, we delivered exceptional profits. We delivered record profits across the group, and we were also, because of the strength of our balance sheet and that financial stability, we were able to return more of that capital to shareholders through a dividend and through a share buyback. So the foundations of the group are solid. Our underwriting is of high quality, and that's reflected in the returns. And the prospects for the business are also very good.
Thank you. Let's talk some trend topics. So there's been a lot of talk about artificial intelligence, I would say, over the past couple of years maybe. Can you share your perspective on how brokers can benefit from AI, what AI might mean for them in the future, and if it might affect the relationship between a broker and an insurance company?
I mean, the AI is such an interesting topic. Maybe if I tell you a little bit about my background, it'll help answer the question. So many years ago, I used to work in the, I guess what you would now call the technology sector, where I was working for companies that were right at the forefront of taking advantage, in fact, building out the internet. This was back in the late 1990s and the early 2000s, at the time of the internet bubble, or the dot-com bubble. And at the time, if I compare the language we use today for AI, it's very similar to the way we used to describe the internet 25 years ago. And 25 years ago, the internet was in the hype stage. There's a lot of talk, but not a lot of actual action. That's, I think, where we are with AI at the moment. But here's a big but. Over the last quarter of a century, over the last 25 years, the internet has transformed global business. Right? It's created global technology titans, and it's created hundreds of millions of jobs. It's created new industries, new professions. So from one perspective, I think AI, and as AI continues to develop over the next decade, it has the potential to spawn another technological revolution, which could create more professions, more jobs, a change in the underlying risks that we have to underwrite. And I think for insurance companies like ours, who are small to medium-sized, who are agile, who are looking to innovate and grow, combined with the entrepreneurial capability of the brokers, I think it presents a huge opportunity to develop new products for what are going to be emerging professions, emerging industries over the next few years. So I think there's a huge opportunity there. There's also a further opportunity in through the use of AI combined with existing processes and technology to begin to eliminate some of the administrative work that we all still have to do, and to be able to focus more on that customer service, on that business development. So I think there are huge opportunities. Undoubtedly, there are risks. Right? There are huge risks as well that we have to watch out for, whether it's in the cybercrime or other related areas as well. So there are, as ever with these sort of trends, there are risks and opportunities. I do see at the moment that the opportunities will outweigh the risks. Now, there is one thing that I would like to also mention. One of the issues, or one of the aspects of AI is, in the end, we have to be able to explain to the customer the outcome of a decision or a particular process, which means none of us can abrogate our responsibility. There has to be a human in the loop somewhere. And that's certainly a firm belief of mine, that somewhere within a process, there has to be a human involved. What generative AI allows us to do is to make that process incredibly efficient and allow the human in the process to focus on the real value add.
So it's not about eliminating your human, it's about enabling the human to do more of what the human can do, actually.
Right, right. I mean, in the end, the spark of ingenuity, the creativity comes from humans, from people. Generative AI will not, it could make an idea better, but can it come up with an original idea? That isn't possible, right? That is absolutely not possible today.
You mentioned emerging business models, and I would like to talk about another trend that's been on the rise for some time now, embedded insurance. So could you share your view on what new business models might emerge and how the broker can benefit from it?
There's a very short answer to that, which is, there is one short answer, which is if I genuinely knew the business models that were going to emerge, I think I'd go and bet all my money on that today. there are new business models emerging that we can see already. Daniela mentioned embedded insurance, or the possibility of embedded insurance. And if I just take the example of my older children who are in their early 20s, they much prefer to buy insurance at the time they're buying the core service or product. So I can see with that, with the advent of technology, with the ease with which they can buy these type of products and the confidence they have in buying these products, I can see the growth of embedded insurance. But I think for people like us, for the business that we're in, the key thing for us is to remain agile. We can make a few bets on how we think the business world might evolve, but the most important capability that we need to have is to remain agile. So as the new business models emerge, we can develop our products and service those new businesses with the appropriate risk management solutions. So I tend to speculate less on how or what new trends might emerge. Really, our focus within Hiscox is how do we remain an agile business that as those trends emerge, we can really jump on them and make the most of them.
So remaining agile is definitely very good advice, I think, like in any circumstance, pretty much. And my next question is actually going to lead to this, because people are always looking for the magic sauce. And Aki, you see so many markets and so many different approaches. So I was going to ask you if you would share some learnings and tips maybe with our brokers so they can remain being successful and even more successful in the future. So is there anything that you can share regarding a magic sauce?
I'm really being put on the spot now. I'm sure what I'm going to say will has crossed most people's minds, but it's sometimes useful just to kind of reflect on it. The sort of common ingredients that I've seen, and I've worked in a number of different industries, but the common ingredient for success is maybe 3 or 4 things. Right? I'm sure there's lots of others, but the 3 or 4 things that come to mind. Firstly, are having a very, very clear understanding of customers, right? Having a total understanding of customers. That is so important to us, because that's how you continue to understand their needs and remain hopefully agile as an organization to service them. So those organizations who understand their customers really, really well tend to do better. Secondly, simplicity. Those organizations that then tend to make those interactions with their customers as simple and as convenient as possible tend to do better, right? So that total understanding, so that customer centricity combined with simplicity, don't make it unnecessarily complex, right? Reduce the friction in the process as much as possible. Those are 2 major characteristics that I think really help. And the third one is hard work. Just hard work hard, right? There's a high correlation between hard work and success.
I think you're right, and I think I'm going to tell that to my son this evening again, because he doesn't believe in that so much yet. Aki, before I let you go, and thank you so much for being so insightful with us today, I would like to play a little game with you. There's really only one rule: don't overthink the answer. Ready?
Okay.
Yeah, you're in the mood for it?
I'll give it a go.
All right. Okay. So, what's your favorite music?
Elvis Presley, Unchained Melody.
Oh, okay. Didn't expect that. Good.
That's my favorite song, I think.
That's song, but we can see where it's headed to, so good. Yeah. What's the best piece of advice that you've ever gotten?
Okay, so this was... there's a lot of context to this piece of advice, so maybe I'll just take 30 seconds to tell it. So a long time ago, about 25, 26 years ago, so early in my career, I was in a situation where I was working in sales for an internet company, and we designed an internet solution. I sold it. I used to do a bit of the design work, and we sold the internet solution to a company. Long story short, that company sued us and said it didn't work. And I remember going to see the lawyers at the time for mediation. And I was very nervous because I was in my early 20s. I was thinking my career has just ended before it's even started. And the advice my chief technology officer gave me at the time was that, he said, I remember he put his arm around my shoulder and he said, Aki, you know what? He says, I've been in these meetings a number of times, these type of meetings. I've never died in any of them. I always come out the other end. So what's the worst that's going to happen? And that immediately allowed me to relax. But to cut the long story short, the solution did work. The mediation was in our favor and everything was okay. But the important thing for me there is the world that we live in, the business that we're in, we're risk managers and we have to take risks. And in order to take risks, you need some courage to be able to step forward and make that first move. And that thought always runs through my mind, which is, well, what's the worst that's going to happen? The worst that's going to happen is if you never step forward and take the risk, because then you'll never win. So you have to take a risk to win. So that always goes through my mind.
Well, thank you for that, yeah. Mm-hmm. And there's one last question to you. Don't overthink the answer,
okay.
Just answer honestly. If Germany played England during this upcoming European Football Championship that we're hosting in Germany, who will win?
So I can say, using all my business insight from over 25 years, that I think it's going to be England. 3-1, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see about that. Well, thank you so much again, Aki, for joining us. Thank you for your openness and your insights. It was a pleasure having you today.
Not at all. Thank you very much. And thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Vielen Dank und einen schönen restlichen Hiscox-Nachmittag.